I think about one of my coaches in particular. It's like I don't know, like you want to talk about somebody that just was born to educate kids and like teach them more. Like he was so good at teaching us sports and football and everything, but it was so much more about your character and how to hold yourself and how to act and whatever. I remember he was a referee of a football game one time, and I had him as a coach before this, but he was refereeing one of the games, and our guy like broke free and was running free for a touchdown. It was like 80 yards or something crazy, and I was running, probably 10, 15 yards behind him because there was this kid that was chasing him, and I was running up to him and got right up next to the kid and then just laid the kid out. Our guy was gone and going to score, and he came up and just screamed at me. And it was like, I was pissed because I'm like, I have always been told to play to the whistle, play to the whistle. And I come down and make sure this guy's not going to catch him. He wasn't going to catch him, but it's like, I'm playing to the whistle. Like, what are you yelling at me about? And it's now I look back and I'm like, yeah, it's so unnecessary. And it's more about character and just like, why did you have to do that? That had no bearing. And now this kid just gets decked for no reason.
That's like the kid. And it was always Tristan Woods. But like when you would throw a ball at someone and then he would always catch it and then throw it. It's like,
he'd always like intercept it. And then,
yeah, it's like, you're not needed here.
Yeah. You're not needed here. Yeah. So it was like, but it was just kind of stuff like that. And that's even a bad example, but I don't know. It's a funny story to me. But he was my coach. I mean, from early on all the way up until he was my high school football coach too. So it was like, he was there the whole time. But if he didn't do the things that he did and what he tried to teach and what he tried to coach, like, I'm not the person that I am. A whole bunch of the people that also played under him aren't the people that they are. And there's probably really big reasons or a large percentage of those kids that are changed, and we're all different because of him and act differently and think differently and whatever. It's like, so you cannot tell him he can't teach the way that he thinks is right. But that's what's so difficult is you have teachers in really weird areas, let's say, that are teaching really weird stuff that they shouldn't be teaching. Mm-hmm. And they're thinking, well, I'm teaching what I need to be teaching. This is for the betterment of society. And like, I'm trying to raise good people and good whatever. And it's like, yeah, but it's like, how do you tell somebody you're correct in what you're teaching? And then the next person, no, you're not correct, even though they feel the same way about it.
I think that, I think
you just have to really know what you're talking about or what you're teaching. It's like what I'm saying with this. If you're going to teach kids about hurricanes and try to get across to them that it's not something to be super afraid of, or not even afraid of, but like something to respect, but know your P's and Q's, know the data, know what's going on. I think you have to do it really well, because coaches try to do that too. They try to teach you life lessons, but they're just assholes. Yeah. And they don't know what they're talking about. You have to like really embody that and really know what you're talking about. And that comes with a ton of experience and all that kind of stuff. So I think you just have to really try to gauge, do I really know what I'm talking about here and what I'm discussing? And am I putting it across in a way that is positive and beneficial? Or am I just shooting from the hip and kind of like lazily throwing this out there? The people that are just like, well, you got to work hard if you want to make it anywhere. It's like, okay, yes, but you're being so weird about it and not educating. You're just like demanding and telling people what to do. I think there just has to be some skill in it.
I mean, that's why I think it's so awesome and so cool when you share stories like that of your coaches, because it makes me happy to know that people that are that good at that found their way to that. It's like that coach could have just been a cashier or it could have been just like a banker.
Yeah.
It's like the natural skill that that person has, which is developed over time. Yeah. But I think there's like a natural ability to that, an understanding of that. It's like, that's so cool that those people ended up finding it, or that were put in positions where they could really adjust kids' lives because of that. That I think when you're an educator of children, and children meaning 0 to 18, I think the people that get a little funky with those kinds of things and what they're teaching, I don't know if they're the best educators, because, and I don't know, maybe this is just my very narrow-minded view of it, but I think if you are trying to push those narratives, you are not understanding children. I mean, it's like, I'm talking about the weather, and I'm still like, but should a 3-year-old know that?
Oh, right.
It's like,
yeah.
Well, yeah, if you're 12, yeah, we can talk about the hurricanes, because you're hearing your parents talk about it, but you might not get all the context. So how can I make you feel safe and comfortable about it when we're at dance and half of the kids aren't here and you're not having school tomorrow and you might not know what's going on? Sure, let's talk about it, and let's like make it comfortable to be able to bring up questions and explore it in a way that's at your level. People that are pushing stuff that is so beyond what that age group should be thinking about, like, that's not an educator. That's not someone that cares about children. With that also being said, I think there are some lessons that are just timeless. That's what you can be teaching, but still with a sprinkle of, we're also dealing with the children of this age and dealing with the children of this, like, our parents in sports and the kids that they were are not the exact kids that we're working with now. Like, they're having different devices. They're having different sort of stimuluses. They're having different food, which is also affecting how they are. They are living in a different world. But I think the more that you can bring it back to the core timeless values, that's where you will move the needle as I don't want to say educator. That's not really.
Yeah, parent.
But it is, I guess.
Parent, teacher, anything. I mean, you're going to be around, even
someone that is working with children.
Yeah, well, even bosses. I mean, it's like, look at what you just talked about with our boss, of opening up the studio and having people there because she knows that they're not going to have places to go, school's done, all that kind of stuff. Like, that's a great leader and person that's leading by example. And it's like, we're not children, and we're going, hey, that's a really good idea. If that ever were to be a situation in our case, in the future or currently or whatever, yeah, look at what she's providing for the community and her even just her little community of the studio. But, it branches out, and like it affects all the time. Mm-hmm. And I think, like you said, the ones that are true for like long periods of time, I think this is why it seems like there's more talk about it, or maybe I've just heard about it more now, of not seeing the Bible as so much of the, it's the religious part of it, but it's like, it's the stories of life lessons and how to carry yourself and how to live and that sort of stuff. Like, there's good stuff within that. It's just used in these stories. And I mean, you get that through watching movies and through watching or reading books and all that kind of stuff. I mean, Harry Potter is fiction and not real, but there's still life lessons that you can learn in that, and they try to promote and teach within it and that sort of thing. And something that you would learn that you taught me too was like, which I think is where you're getting at with this, should I teach them about the hurricane stuff or not? Are they old enough? Is kids learn at a certain pace, or they should know things at certain times as they're growing up. So not trying to push them further ahead than their education and their ability and what they need to know. It's like, yeah, maybe a 3-year-old doesn't really need to know about hurricanes what that is, because it could be scary or dangerous or whatever. It's like they need to know how to share and how to like not scream and stuff like that. So, and I think we've talked about it before a little bit too, but the going off of that, the parents and the teachers that are trying to teach these kids so much faster and further along than what their brain is really able to develop, and they're kind of trying to skip steps. Like if you're a 2-year-old, you need to know 2-year-old things, not, well, they're 2 but we're trying to get them to read at a 4th grade level, or we're trying to push them ahead so that they're better than all the other kids. It's like you're not building a foundation, and they're not getting what they need to get at 2 years old because you're skipping that stuff. Like they need to get really good at what they need to get at 2 years old, and then they have that good foundation. Then they go to 3 years old, and then they need to get what they need to get at 3, and then at 4, and they keep doing that. And I think that's true as we grow up. You see people that are ultra successful in their career or job and whatever, but they have no social skills. It's like, well, you didn't learn that at the time you're supposed to learn that, like in school or at a younger age, and build that and grow that. You just kind of isolated yourself, and for some reason was only told to focus on career and what do you want to be when you grow up, and you need to focus on that and try and whatever. So I think going off of that, it's like maybe keeping that in mind of how old are they? Do they need to know about this stuff? Or the 12-year-olds, they can learn about that stuff and understand what's happening and what's going on and get the data from it. It's like, how much data are you going to be able to give a 3-year-old?